Welcome to the Your Little Castle Show, where we highlight the best experts that make your home into your little castle. Let's go! So on set today we have some experts. On the far end, Ryan Newton, Natasha Muskopf,
Yes.
and Cedrick, who invented the web. No, Cedrick Webb. But we wonder, I mean, there's a long background here. You've been doing this for decades now.
Correct.
Decades and a long time.
Yep.
And when we get together, and then I started in 1927. No.
Okay.
But
Wow.
my first thing I ever did was I did a video editing. John Goodman paid for, oh, John's getting mad, but he paid for my mom's editing suite for software for digital editing. That was in 1995. All right, so then
Wow.
into the whole world back through there. I'm an old school. I'm old fool. Who's so cool from the old school. Hoop there. All right, I'm messing up the song, but way back, this internet thing. These are some experts with the internet world because I know that because we've all actually worked in a past lifetime. We worked together and really got to know each other, and you can see who the experts are then when you work with people. Like you get everybody at the restaurant or at the networking event, they're the expert, and they walk away and you're like, I don't know if the guy knew what he's talking about or not. But I know you guys know what you're talking about. So that's where I'm like, all right, I have my little world now that I'm focusing on this, where we can highlight business leaders and say, hey, show us why you're the best roofing company, decking company, siding company. But you can't have a household, you can't have a successful house, a castle, unless you've got a good business. And you can't have a good business these days unless you have this whole internet thing figured out. I think it's catching on. You think this? I remember people like 2009 when I was first. Anheuser-Busch, they'll take over and got a nice severance package. Man, the government taxed the heck out of me that year. Like, effectively, I had 2 jobs. I got paid nicely, but I went right back to people. I'm like, this internet thing's going to catch on, and people are like, oh, I don't know, it's a fad. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a big deal. Kind of like the Cardinal Cowboy. No, but this thing turned out to be weird. But it's branded. And we talk about that. We talk about branding. So let's jump right into a little bit. Cedrick, why did you decide to start? You're the CEO of a digital marketing company with some expertise beyond what most people would ever. I'm a digital marketing company. No, look at what Cedrick has done. #1 guy out of a sales force with 1,600 sales reps. I know that because I was working with you.
Right, absolutely.
And you did it one year. But you did it prior to that too, if I recall. You #1 guy in the company twice, or
A few times, but
a few
yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Okay, I only did it once. He did a few times. But now you started a company, Smart Digital.
Correct.
Talk about why you decided to do this.
So decided to do Smart Digital. After 10, 12 years of the industry of helping out small businesses, one of the things we realized was there was a better way to do it for small businesses, to where we can kind of customize the programs and the platforms for the businesses versus maybe working for other companies where my hands might be kind of tied or selling certain programs that may not have been the best fit. Sometimes in marketing or digital marketing, most times in business, there's not always a one-size-fits-all type of solution. And after years of being in it, just kind of began to realize that if we can really kind of customize these things and get back to a lot of the basics when it comes to showing up online on Google, and getting these websites right, that we could provide a better value for smaller businesses doing it on a local level, and maybe saving them a little bit of money from where they were before. But more importantly, providing a better value and making some of these things go further.
Yeah, I see a key point. Now, we've had other roofing, decking, siding, the guys that we're all supporting. So I want to team up with you guys because there's a lot of work. It's not my thing. I want to stay focused and do well at what we're doing. Video is huge. Everybody says video, especially if you can end up on ABC, like you get to do with what I've been working with them now for years. They came to me 2017 and said, Cardinal Cowboy, would you like to have a show on ABC? I'm like, about time. I'm Cardinal Cowboy. They're like, no, go produce a show and we'll put you on. I'm like, okay. So I called that guy over there. He's offset, John Pagano, and we went at it and started doing this. So we had no idea what we were doing. And we figured it out. End up in this beautiful studio. Some great resources. But so much more to that goes into the whole rest of the world. And I guess what I'm saying then is a lot of people, they start off with their way of doing it. And then new things come around. And some people stay doing it the old way. It's like the old way is more expensive, not as effective, doesn't work as well.
Right.
So I guess I'll throw this over to the social media guy, and I want to talk to the sales director, because Natasha, Ryan. Ryan, social media. Is this thing going to work out? You think we're going to have social media?
I think so. I think I don't think it's a fad, like the internet might have been. I think it's really going to catch on, and what Smart Digital really specializes in is to make it custom to the business. I know a lot of major companies are kind of just throwing out templates, and it's not really personable. That's where we come in and really make it personable for that business. And just like, again, we always try to, not every business is the same. So,
sure.
Not every social media post is going to be the same.
Right, because you're in charge of web development and social media. Those
Yep.
two tie together intricately. We're looking at your guys' website we've got up here on the wall, and like right down here at the bottom, very smart. You practice what you preach.
Yep.
Look at all these Google reviews we've got. I mean, Google reviews are like life or death for a company. And some people are like, oh yeah, I got 7 reviews and 3 of them for my brother, my cousin, and my uncle. I'm like, no, man, you need to have like dozens of those. You've got 36 something here, and your average is 5. Is that right? 5? I mean, whoo, all right. You guys are on the ball. Does that all tie into it too? You got reviews that point to your website and your social media, and that should be shared on both of those
Yes.
resources, right?
Yes, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. We want to make sure that people are getting found and talked about on all these platforms. You don't want just reviews on your website. You want them on Google and you want them on Facebook.
Right.
And it really drives up your traffic overall.
Yeah, somebody looks. I mean, that's the decision. I mean, we all know this by now. Not everybody, but there's this new thing called Amazon. Have you guys heard of this? And it goes off. It's my static. I use that joke every time. 90% of the time, I use it every time. But Amazon, literally, like I make a decision like that because I go 4.7 stars, buying it. 3.8. They might have the same product. I'll be like, not buying that same product because apparently these guys have better customer service than the other one. It's the same product.
Yep.
Yeah.
But literally, that's what tells you the difference. Is that where we're at with social media,
Yeah, absolutely.
web development, and all
yes,
this stuff?
100%. I mean, every business is still word of mouth, right? But you want to also check and see if they're professional after you hear about them.
Right.
So that's where we come in. We help build that gap from word of mouth to.
That's a great point
online.
because a lot of people don't realize this is all stuff that's been done for decades.
Yep.
It's just now you get access to it much more easily, much more readily, and right there in front of you. Where if you don't know, I speak to different groups around the country to talk about my coma and everything I went through, and I said, hey guys, by the way, I do internet stuff, and here's the deal: there is no excuse right now to not know what you're talking about, to not have the information because it's all out there. Natasha, when you're helping people make a decision about, we want to help you develop your program to make this happen. How important is that for the businesses these days? I mean, besides saying critical,
Yeah.
it's like, hello.
It's extremely important, especially to get to know them on a personal level, on a local level, to make sure these small businesses get found online and have that message relayed across the internet. And also make sure, they're able to have the resources at hand as far as recommendations and their reviews and things like that. Just it all feeds in together when it's put in place properly.
Yeah, and so many businesses. I'm like, we've talked about this in the past. We did another show in our other studio recently, and like, I have a studio. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, where did you rent that location? That must be an expensive place. It's in my bonus room in my house because I want to do things and make them. I want to be able to pump out a video at 2 a.m. if I have to about, hey, we got to shoot this because the client needs it at 6 o'clock this morning, and we can do that. Don't call me for 2 o'clock in the morning
Yeah.
appointments, but literally this stuff now. If you don't have the pieces, you don't have the resources. Your business, you can be the best carpenter in North America,
Right.
and literally, but your website looks terrible. You're not going to get I mean, hopefully the word of mouth thing can overcome what they're
Right.
going to find when they do decide to not just take the review they heard, but the personal reference they had from some individual, like a face-to-face meeting, and they go, well, let me double check this. And then they go, why is people don't understand they're losing business because of these things.
Right.
So you help them put all these assets together.
Together, just like little breadcrumbs on the internet, your reviews, your Facebook, your Google My Business, your website, it all ties in together to be found online. And that's very important for, small businesses around the whole United States of America. So
And it's just a shame to me. I know some of these business owners that are awesome at what they
Yeah.
do, but their website would represent it like they have a good 13-year-old kid in the
Right.
house that might have put together the website for them.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Cedric, when all these pieces come together, what's the impact? I mean, you're running the show.
Yeah, so I always use an analogy whenever I'm trying to explain this. So I equivalently say like the World Wide Web, everything on the internet to, so a spider web, for example. So when a spider is building a web, each strand that it's producing only has so much tensile strength, right? So if they leave a strand here and a strand here and none of them have anything to do with each other, it's not going to be a very strong or very effective spider web.
Right.
But when they're all kind of plugging in and playing together, that's what makes the spider web most effective. And it's the same thing with your web presence, right? Making sure that your social media, your website, your reviews, all these different referral things are all plugging in, working together properly. And if you do that, then you can really maximize the strength of your online web presence, right? Just like the spider would his spider web. So having a plan and a strategy to put those pieces together is extremely important.
I've talked to you a little bit about my consultant friend. He's like a world-renowned Google guy. He'll help us with all the stuff we want to put together. But he does a little analysis. I'm sure you have something like this too, where it goes, these guys they think they're awesome. But let me run my little tool. They're missing this, and they think they're awesome. Is that what you're running into these days? You've got people literally like, oh yeah, our website's beautiful. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
What are you missing? Let's look at.
Sometimes you see that because there's maybe an idea or a concept out there that just because somebody maybe can do a little bit of IT, that they can do the website, or that people can do a website, that they actually know how to do the things on the backside of the website to make it more friendly in the eyes of Google. And so being able to work with somebody or a company that can plug all those pieces in together for you, I've seen many businesses spend thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars on a website, and it might look beautiful, but nothing is set up properly in the back end, and you couldn't find it. And so it's kind of that same concept of building a really beautiful billboard, but placing it in a back alley where no one's going to see it, or placing it underwater, if you will, right? Good idea, but the execution is just not happening, right? You're throwing money down the drain there, and just trying to be smarter about that with your marketing and putting some of those pieces together properly.
All right, so this interview goes fast. Our 15. Can I bring you guys back on for another interview? We're going to do it as soon as possible. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
And we want to talk about that. But let's and then on the front end of that, like you were just talking, I was like, I got to talk about how we're working together. Nobody knows about your business. It doesn't matter how awesome your website is. You got to do all these other little things. And video is a key element that we're helping to separate people. That's why I know when you and I reconnected a month ago or whatever, you were like, I want to be on the show. And it's because you realize the value of what this does. This takes you to the level up here. Now everything else you guys put in place brings it home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more fun, because we literally are changing the world. I feel like that. I mean, that's why I went to grad school, wrote my thesis back in 1998, where I said the internet is going to change the world. And I think this internet thing is catching on. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for a little more from Your Little Castle, where we help the leaders in our community help make your home into your castle. And you got to do it with business. Giddy up. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Your Little Castle. If you would like to be on the show, please text us at 636-565-0305. Giddy up.